I've got a story for you. I was sitting the other day with this chap who runs a really big educational organization in Warsaw, where I live. I've known him for a very long time. And every time I go there, I suspect it's one of the reasons I go and meet him. If there's somebody else there, he'll always say, oh, you know, Carol ma'am is the one who's responsible for this college, this institution, standing here. Who doesn't like flattery? I enjoy it. But the truth is, all I did 25 years ago was write an article. And that article caused files stuck in Mantralaya to start moving again, so that in 6 months, what was a bare plot of land had begun to be the huge institution it is today. It's not true I was responsible for it, but I like hearing it. This time, I didn't like what he turned around and told me. At the end of this little bit of flattery, he says, but you know, if you wrote that same kind of article now, nothing would happen. So I said, what do you mean nothing would happen? He says, nobody would take any interest, nobody would take any notice, whether you are there on television, whether you stick your comments online, or whether, you know, you carry the article in print. And I said, that's not my fault. The people we write about are much more thick-skinned than they were 3 decades ago. I've got another story. There is this website called Gawker.com. And because it deals very often with the media, I read it. It's run by a young American. And he has this very interesting thing to say about newspapers. You know, all of us, we've been used to now listening to the doomsday prophets say, newspapers print, forget it, it's dying. And in another 2 years or 3 years, there won't be any newspapers. So this is what he has to say about it. He says, newspapers, forget it, really. This is the worst place of all to either be employed or be looking for employment. An easy rule of thumb, only the very top and the very bottom of the newspaper industry even have a sliver of light at the end of the tunnel. National papers, remember he's talking about his own American papers, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, USA Today, and for that substitute Times of India, Hindustan Times, that sort of thing, at least have strong enough brands to possibly pull through and prosper in the future. Tiny local papers are okay, since they have no internet competition to speak of. But every city paper in all population ranges is going to get slammed hard for the forthcoming future. Not the best job prospect. And then he adds, and this is important, except in India. Print is exploding there. If you like naan as much as you like journalism, buy yourself a plane ticket. So which is the real picture? Is it that sad and bad state that everybody is talking about, that Indian journalism seems to have fallen into? Or is it really the great, vibrant, flourishing picture it seems to present to the outside world? And the truth, like a lot of issues these days, falls somewhere between the two, so that both are true and both are false. The media, our news business, when I say media, I am talking news. Shashi will talk about features. So the news business is being constantly criticized for a lot of things. Corruption, paid news, slanted news, lies, lack of objectivity, the fact that we seem to have right and left ideologies which creep into our writing. The media today is also being blamed or credited with, depending upon whether you are anti-establishment or pro-establishment, is being credited with Narendra Modi's victory. I don't think that the media was responsible for his victory at all. I think we ignore the fact that there was a wave. But we are being credited or we are being blamed for everything that's happening. We've been blamed for showing too many pictures of him. Not enough of Arvind Kejriwal, not enough of Rahul Gandhi. And keeping him constantly in front of the public eye is supposed to be one of the reasons why he became Prime Minister. So you see, the media has become a very favored whipping boy for the general public. And yet, they can't seem to do without the media. It's also growing faster than anywhere else. And this is what is important. When we talk of our print media, for instance, we talk in terms right now of the world's second largest industry. But by 2018, it's going to be the largest. TV is growing. Right now, 800 channels, maybe 200 plus news channels, 24/7. Digital is leaping forward. 900, we have 900 phone users, smartphone users and mobile phone users at the end of 2013 in December. Of these people, 130 million were using phones to access the internet. And we have a total of 214 internet users in the country today. So if out of them, 130 million are actually using their phones to access the internet, what does this say about what people are doing? What are they using their phones for? What are they using the internet for? They are using the internet to access news and views and entertainment, gaming, general information, anything and everything that impacts them. So this is what should interest students of today who might be considering a career in journalism and the media. This is what you should concentrate on, the need for more content, the need for hundreds and thousands of young people. You want to do scoops, you're obsessed with celebrity journalism, you want to expose scams, there's a need for all that. Then there's the need for hundreds and thousands more who understand how technology should be used to change the way we consume news. And there is a need for young people who are willing to learn not just how to write a report of things as they happen, but also to analyze, to interpret, and to entertain and explain what they are writing, what is happening around them. Journalists communicate all the time. They communicate in different ways. They use different platforms. As you all know, there is something called citizen journalism as well, which enables all of us, all of you, to be journalists instantly, wherever you are, talking about whatever you see, hear, feel. So what's the difference between a citizen journalist and a real journalist, or a regular? I shouldn't be saying real because citizen journalists are also real. But what is the difference between a citizen journalist and a regular journalist? Training. That's the only real difference. The training that gives you the desire to make a real difference, and it gives you, most importantly, the channels to make your dreams come true, or to make this desire come true. This country is so vast and diverse that it's impossible to expect one piece of writing to impact all communities in one particular way. So we constantly have to change. We have to think in terms of subjects. We have to think in terms of platforms. We have to think in terms of formats. But at bottom, we have to remember that we are writing for different groups of people, which means that we constantly change tone, we constantly change the language in which we write. I don't mean physical language, but your language, the language with which you address younger demographics is very different from the language you use to address older people. The language with which you will address an urban community is very different from a rural or agricultural community. And we have to understand that we need to constantly change. This is what training does for you. Enables you to think of your target audience, enables you to visualize who you are writing for, where you're writing, at what point in time you are writing, and how to contextualize. So everybody also wants to write about everything. This is what we have noticed. They want to write about politics. They want to write about parties, the fun type of parties. They want to write about wars or the weather. They bring the same kind of seriousness to both. They'll want to write about movies. They will also want to cover mob frenzies. And of course, there's scandals and celebrities. But the bottom line is media in general Journalism in particular requires trained professionals right now. And this requirement is only going to grow. It's an industry, this is one of the few industries directly linked to economic growth of a country. So what better reason can there be to join it to make a difference? Thank you.